Hey there, and welcome. We spend pretty much our whole lives talking. But what if I told you that every time you speak, you're actually having a second conversation? One that's way more powerful and one you might not even be aware of. Let's dive into what that really means.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You say one thing, but the person you're talking to hears something totally different. You say, "This is a great proposal," but they get this feeling, this vibe, that you're hesitating. Their gut is telling them something that completely contradicts the words coming out of your mouth.
So what's the deal? Why does this kind of disconnect happen so often? It's not just you, it's a totally universal experience. And the answer is pretty simple, actually. We're all communicating on two channels at the same time. In this explainer, we're going to break both of them down. Okay, so first, let's start with the obvious one. The channel that we're all familiar with. The one we consciously control. The actual words we use.
This is what we call verbal communication. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's direct, it's explicit, it's the foundation for how we share specific info. It's the what of our message. And we use the spoken word all day, every day. Face-to-face chats, jumping on a phone call, running a team meeting. All of these are designed for that immediate connection and feedback.
And then, of course, there's the written word. This is all about getting things down on paper or, on screen. Think of things like official letters, memos, reports. They make ideas formal and make sure there's a record of them.
But here's the thing, and this is really the key to everything. If you're only paying attention to the words, you are missing most of the message. The verbal stuff, well, that's just a tiny bit that we can see above the surface.
I love how the source material puts this. It says our nonverbal signals often carry so much more weight and so much more truth than even the most perfectly crafted sentence.
And that brings us right to that second conversation, that powerful undercurrent that's running beneath everything we say. This is the unspoken world of nonverbal communication.
Okay, so how do we tap into this? How do we learn to understand this, secret language? Well, it's all about learning how to decode the signals. Let's break down the four main types of nonverbal cues. First up, we've got kinesics. It's a bit of a fancy word for what we all just call body language. Your posture, the way you move your hands when you talk, your facial expressions, all these things are constantly broadcasting how you really feel. And the difference is huge, but simple. Just think about it. Leaning forward in a meeting just screams, "I'm interested, I'm engaged." But leaning back and crossing your arms, that can shout, "I'm not buying it," or "I'm closed off," no matter what polite words you're actually saying. Next, there's proxemics. This one is all about space. It's that invisible bubble we all have around us. The physical distance you keep between yourself and other people tells a huge story about your relationship and how comfortable you are. And we all kind of know these zones intuitively, right? There's that intimate zone, just for partners, the personal zone for good friends, the social zone for colleagues, and the public zone for, strangers. If you break one of those unwritten rules, you send a really strong message. Okay, this one is huge. It's called paralanguage. And it's not what you say, it's all about how you say it. Your tone of voice, the pitch, the volume, how fast or slow you talk, this is where the real emotional meaning of your words lives. And come on, we have all been on both sides of this one, haven't we? A simple, calm, "Sure, I can do that" means, "Yup, I'm on it." But a slow, sarcastic, "Sure, I can do that," well, that means the exact opposite. The words are identical, the paralanguage changes absolutely everything. And finally, there's chronemics, which is just the study of how we use time to communicate. Being on time, making someone wait for you, how fast you reply to an email. These things send incredibly powerful signals about respect, about power, and about priority. I mean, think about our digital world. You send a text. A reply in 5 minutes makes you feel important, right? But a reply that takes 5 days? Well, that sends a very, very different message about where you are on their priority list without a single word needing to be said. So let's pull all of this back together. We've got the verbal conversation, the words, and the unspoken, nonverbal one happening all at once. So how do we put it all together and become, truly great communicators? And here is the real secret. Mastery isn't just about being a good speaker or a good writer. It's about alignment. When your body language, your tone, and your timing all line up with your words, your message is so powerful. It's believable. But when they're out of sync, that's when people get that gut feeling of distrust.
They might not even know why they don't believe you, but they will feel it.
So you can kind of think of it like this. Your verbal message is delivering the conscious, logical stuff, the content. But your nonverbal message, that's delivering the subconscious, emotional feeling. And you need both to work together. But here's the real kicker. When those two messages conflict, we almost always believe the nonverbal one. The unspoken conversation is shouting, while the spoken one is just whispering.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. You spend so much time choosing your words so carefully, right? Crafting that perfect email, planning what you're going to say. But what about that other conversation? What story is your posture telling? What about your tone, your timing? Because that is where the real communication is happening. Thanks so much for joining me.